In this session, we're going to review how to issue a credit for selected invoice lines. Now, I have an invoice here for Mr. George Jackson, invoice 120. Let's open it up and take a look. On this invoice, I have an alternator that I've sold him with some labor. I even charged him for the core charge, so I'll show you how we can refund that. We have a belt, an air filter, a cabin filter, and a sublet repair. So when issuing a credit, easy way to do this is just, open up your current invoice that you want to do your credit on. Go back to your work in progress or your prioritization, and you're going to issue a new credit slip. I can search for them by name, by vehicle, or by invoice number. I double click on the invoice and I reverse selected invoice lines. When I do this, the screen is going to initially start off blank. First thing you want to do is go over and assign the service writer here, or service advisor. So you do have a lot of options on what you can do here. If you want to, you can even just adjust straight up other charges. I can reimburse a shop supply or an environmental charge or a tire disposal. So all you have to do is simply select it, put in your dollar amount, hit OK, and I can reimburse that money. Let's go zero that back out. I can do a tax adjustment here. Sometimes this happens to us where we post out a work order to a finalized invoice, then we find out after the fact that the customer is supposed to be tax exempt. So if I need to do just the tax by itself, I go to tax adjustment, look for the tax, and enter it. Now if you can't remember what that is, there again, I can go back to my invoice, look real quick, 151.92. Select the appropriate tax, hit OK, and enter it. And this does keep your tax remittance accurate. Let's take that off. More commonly, what's going to happen in here is you're going to select lines to credit. So this is going to give you a lot of flexibility. You can come in here and select any individual line or a package as a whole. If I go in and say, well, I want to go ahead and reimburse for this entire package, I simply click on the box. It's going to automatically fill it in, hit OK, it adds that package. So any labors that you do have on here will automatically be reversed with the labor hours. Any parts that came from an outside source will go to a returns bin. Any parts that came from inventory go straight to inventory. Okay. It will automatically apply any appropriate shop supplies, environmental charges, or taxes. And again, if I want to override just one of these, I certainly can. See, I can go in and override the shop supplies, for example. I can go zero that out. If I wish to do individual line items, you just simply click on the line. So let's say on this remanufactured alternator that they did bring me a core back at a later date. I highlight, and it's going to ask me, do I want to do full or part of the line with no return? Do I want to do the entire thing and put it into the returns bin, or just the core? The nice thing about this is once I process this, I cannot do it again. I cannot do that core over and over. Anytime I want to do any labor, if I select the entire labor, if I do the whole thing, it's going to not only reimburse the labor dollars, it's also charging back the labor time. If I do part of the line, Let's say I'm going to give him $10 back. This is where you need to be very careful. So let's say we're going to do $10. I'm going to hit OK. I hit OK here. Now I have my reimbursement for my core. It's going to put the core in the returns bin. I'm going to reimburse $10 on labor, but look at what it did. It charged back the entire labor time. Don't think my technician will be very happy about that. So what I need to do is double click and open that line up and change it. So I can change these hours to anything I want, or if I don't want to charge them back, I can. Then I put in my dollar amount and hit OK. So you want to be very, very careful with that. That's one thing you really got to watch here. Now again, I can adjust shop supplies. I can adjust taxes if I need to. So this is all what we're going to do is process this. Let's go add one more just so you can see how this works again. Again, if I want to return a part, highlight. Do I want to do part of it? Do I want to do all of it? So here we're returning $10 on labor on the alternator. We're returning the core, and it's going to return this air filter. Hit OK. We have our credit invoice ready to go. So if I'm ready to post it, I can go ahead and post it. If I'm not, I can go ahead and do a save and close. Save and close just simply puts it into credit slips. Credit slips. Here's my slip. Double click, open it up, and we're going to post it out. Now again, how did they pay me? How am I reimbursing the money? Since he paid me in cash, I'm going to go ahead and give him cash back. I'm going to hit add, hit next, and then what am I going to do? Print or email the invoice. So let's take a quick look at Tommy Tire's hours here. So we'll go home, go to dashboard. I'm going to pull up Tommy. So you see here was the original invoice, 120. He got a total of 3.55 hours, and yet we reimbursed a little bit of labor, that $10, and we did not charge him back on it. See, if I would have forgotten to adjust that, it would have been a charge back against Tommy here. The nice thing about selected lines is this. If I go back and do this again, pull up invoice 120, double click, reverse selected lines, open it up. See, it lets me know automatically. There's that 60, there's the 10, there's the air filter. If I check that again, see, it's letting me know I've already refunded it. You really do not want to continue here. No sense of doing that. If I do this alternator, see that third line for the core is gone. Anytime I do a partial, such as this $10 on this labor, whether it's labor or parts, it does not matter. If I click on it, it will subtract it. See, my original charge was $175.10. Now I can only do up to $165.10. It's automatically subtracted the $10. So I can still do the remaining or part of it. Again, any parts that you have processed like this that were coming from an outside supplier is going to go to the returns bin. Any parts that came from inventory typically go right back to inventory. Let us go do a sublet and see what happens. Now, if I just do a partial sublet, no problem. But what if I do the entire one? I still got billed for that sublet. I still have a cost on that sublet. I'm just refunding the money. So it really doesn't affect a sublet that much, other than what I've lost. And then I can post it. Oh, I did forget to do something, didn't I? Must have a service advisor. What was my telltale sign? It's in purple here. And I need to go select my service advisor. Now we can post. Again, he paid me cash. I'll go ahead and reimburse him cash. And not going to print our email. So that is selected lines. If I go back into my purchases, returns, I believe that part originally came from O'Reilly. What if I'm not sure? I can always select all. Here's the air filter. Here's the core, and here's the air filter. So how do I know this came from an actual credit? Show item detail. See, and there's my credit invoice number. And that is reverse selected lines.